Are you ready?
Hi, I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist,
Brad Heineck, physical therapist.
and together we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
Well, in our opinion, of course, Bob.
All right, Brad, you have a subject you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the term laminectomy or the procedure laminectomy, that if you have a back problem and the doctor, the surgeon says, I'm afraid you're going to have to have a laminectomy, or they might say laminotomy, and you're just going to sit there with a face like,
What is that?
right, or you're getting real scared because you're thinking they're going to cut your back in half and,
Right.
who knows what's going to happen. But if you understand these terms, it's really not such, that makes it much less scary.
Exactly.
And it's not such a big deal anymore.
Right.
So, laminectomy, let's talk about that first.
Sure.
So, we're going to break that term into two parts. There's the lamina and the ectomy. Ectomy, we're saying, is removal of the lamina. And the lamina is part of your back. So let's take a look at, what's his name? I can't.
Napoleon.
Napoleon.
Bonaparte.
Bonaparte.
Here.
Oh, we lost the wheel, Bob. Okay, let's get
Lonnie,
a close up here.
Can you see pretty well there?
Watch out, Bob, there.
Uh,
Okay. So there is the vertebrae throughout your whole spine, and each vertebra has the part of it called the lamina.
Right.
So we're going to look at, and typically it's going to be done in the lumbar. It could be up in the
The
cervical.
lumbar are the last 5 vertebrae of your back, the
Right.
lowest 5,
Right.
if you don't count the
Right.
sacrum.
And oftentimes it's done at L5, one of these lower ones, but it could be any of them. You'll be informed.
This is
of that.
L5, this is L4, 3, 2, 1.
Right, so let's take one of these vertebrae out, okay? This is my magic trick. We're going to take 2 of them out. Whoa!
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Now we're going to take a closer look at, here we got L4 or L5 and L4. And then we're going to take it apart even more. Go ahead and pull that top vertebra off. Now this represents your spinal cord and your peripheral nerves coming out between each. You always have peripheral nerves between each vertebra. And by the way, that's typically why you're going to have one of these, is one of these nerves is getting
pressure
pinched.
on it, yeah.
It's getting impingement on it, causing pain, etc., down the leg
Why
oftentimes.
don't you flip it up like this, Brad? You can see, here's a disc, and see how that's bulging or herniating out? That's pushing on the nerve there.
Right.
So
Yeah, we can actually pull that disc off. We're really doing a nice job of
yeah, we're doing
dissect,
surgery.
yeah.
We're doing surgery
Right, so
ourselves.
there we got the disc with a representation of the herniation there. But what they're going to do is to get rid of the pressure in this case.
Why don't you go way up?
Yeah, can you, instead of working on that disc, because you may not have a bulging disc, but we may
It's
have.
kind of blurred.
Oop,
Oh,
There you go.
is that good? Okay.
yeah, I'd say flip it this way, Brad.
Okay.
There you go.
So we're looking down at the top of the vertebra. Here's where the spinal cord goes, okay? And they're gonna go and remove part of this bone here, which is lamina, and part of the transverse process typically, and there's a ligament in there called the posterior ligament. Now, any of these structures could be worked on. It's one of those things you're gonna have to go to the talk to your surgeon, and hopefully they'll explain it in detail, pull out a model and say, this is what we're gonna remove in your situation. But here's the lamina, is this section of bone right here. And if we put it back together so it all makes more sense, we go to here. Oops, let me get that nerve where it belongs. Okay. Now let's go back to here, so then make it in reference to your back. Go to here. So when you look at it in here, that lamina is here or it's in here. They do a small little incision. It's amazing how small those incisions
Right.
are, about 1 inch or 2, and they spread the tissues apart, then they get in there and they do their procedure. And they can usually do this in one day. Sometimes they have to stay overnight. It's going to vary on your situation. We're not going to make any predictions on that, but you have to talk to your surgeon.
In my experience, Brad, people have laminectomies or laminotomies. It's not as involved as if they have to have fusion of the back. You know, when they have to start
Right.
putting bars in and
Hardware.
Hardware, yeah.
Come back here, Bob, so
When
they
they're,
can see us.
when they're just doing going in and removing a little bone, it's not nearly as involved, or the rehab is not nearly as
Right,
involved
right.
as it is when you have to do that and maybe do some fusion of the back.
Right.
So,
And actually, a lot of times laminectomies like this are in and out, and they won't even need surgery. That pain down their leg will go away quite right after surgery. sometimes they need rehab and et cetera, it's always
You mean they won't need rehab, you said they don't need surgery.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
Yeah, you're right, we often don't even see these people
Right.
after they've had a
Right.
laminectomy, so.
And as far as the laminotomy, now that's a different situation, I don't think those are near as common.
I've never seen one.
Right, I haven't either, I had to look it up, and it's the removal of the mid portion of the lamina, so it is actually taking that lamina right out of there. Again, get that cleared up with your doctor, your surgeon, if you have that term thrown at you like
Were
you're
you
gonna
gonna
have.
mention a study, Brad?
Nope,
Oh, you're not, I thought
No,
journal of
that-
shoulder,
that-
elbow.
no, that's for our next video.
Oh, stay tuned and subscribe.
You better believe it.